communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Welcome to today's America and Millennium News 24/7. United States, also around the world. Viewers, United States and European Union and Russia, they are the powerhouse in the world. We're going to talk about politics, business, environment, mental health, and other social work area. First, we're going to go little bit politics in America and European Union. President Joe Biden every day give the press conference and his national security regarding Russia going to be attack Ukraine and Russia going to be take over whole Ukraine. Ukrainian president urged Munich conference, if Russia take over Ukraine, what you guys gonna do? You guys gonna be embarrassing the world. You guys cannot do anything. Embargo is not gonna be work that time. Whatever you guys like to do right now before the fight, before the take over the country. He is right. Our NATO, United States, they are playing games with people's life. So, Joe Biden and Britain Prime Minister, also NATO Secretary, Russian President, they have to sit down, solve the problem. Ukrainian President urged Russian President to sit down and talk. This is welcoming. This is the soft tone. We don't need any people die. We don't need any people displaced. We need peace and love. Mr. Todd, Ukrainian President urged the Russian President to sit down and talk regarding anything. What do you think? Is good thing or bad things?
It's a very simple way. Thank you for having me on the show. I believe that the Ukrainian president is a guy, he was an actor, he was a comedian on a show, and then he became president. It's pretty amazing. But I believe he's a really good guy, and we should listen to what he has to say. And if he wants to sit down at the table with Putin, that's a step in the right direction. That's a very civil way of dealing with things. And I guess the point of the story is, the leader of Ukraine is I think a good guy, and I'm glad that he's being supported in Munich.
That's true. but European leaders, NATO leaders is there, like Germany, Austria, France. They are not committed to do anything. What is the issue there? Why they are not one board, one circle? Do you have any idea?
Why isn't the EU united?
No. Germany, Austria, and France, they are divided from NATO's. Like whatever the America and Britain saying, they don't want this kind of embargo. They don't want anything to do with the Russia. They have a soft corner in Russia and Russian president. This is good things or bad things?
Well, I'm not an expert on NATO, but from what I understand is that Russia sees NATO as a threat, and they see the West as a threat. So that's possibly where they may be coming from, idealistically in their minds. Although they also want to be like the U.S. too, at the same time. So they went from being communist to being like, I don't want to say ultra-capitalist, but how people get to be with capitalism nowadays. It's widespread. Globalism.
Exactly, probably. This is the
loss of identity, things of that nature.
Probably they are involved with other politics. Reason? Oil and gas coming from Russia. In France, Belgium, Netherlands, Austria, and Germany. If NATO's stop these things, they are limbo. European in limbo. Gas price, oil price gonna way high. Price gonna be way high. Probably that's why they are not one board. What do you think?
The world is divided, and when we had Mr. Trumpy Pants, ruining things for 4 years, dividing people amongst race, things like that, and gender inequality, and more of the backwards, archaic nature of the old days. And what we need are new days. And hopefully someone will come along and tell us some good things and teach us how to live, because we need it nowadays. And if I have to be that person, then so be it. Here goes.
Very nice. Our American politics is nasty these days. Our Congress, Senate, they are not doing any job. Every day they're working. What is that Trump did? Why Trump take over all White House document to Florida? Also, the government intelligence branch, all document, he keep it, capture, his hand, he don't deliver it. So,
sounds guilty to me.
So this is something wrong, man. So Democrat and Republican fight for these things. So they're not going to be work for American people, but they're working for their own. So this is going to be due coming days, coming 6-7 months. Todd?
The concept of selfishness, the concept of greed is good from the Wall Street days of Michael Douglas saying that, people took that as a motto and a mantra. They ran with it. No, we're done with that time. Sorry, that was a joke, and it wasn't to be taken seriously. Even Michael Douglas might attest to say it's not a good thing. So what I'm saying to the people out there today is be altruistic, the opposite of selfish. Be altruistic. If you're watching this, think to yourself, what does it mean to be altruistic? What does it mean to be good to other people? What does that mean? What does that mean? So to be good to others when your cup runneth over. If you're a 1%er, if you're out there, if you're a 1%er, you have a duty, you have a responsibility to your fellow human beings to help them. If you're not helping them, the less that you give, you're a taker. Ronnie James Dio said that. Thank you.
American Congress, Senate pushing the Joe Biden to fight with Russia. If America fight with Russia is going to be nuclear war and third world war. We need these things these days. Everywhere is crisis, everywhere is disaster by coronavirus. We have to help them to survive the life, save the life. But right now we try to destroy the country for the power. So I don't think so. This is good things. What is your idea?
We need to help the people in every single way. Sending troops to Ukraine, I think that's a terrible idea. If I was president, I would never have done that. I would say, let's get out of all foreign affairs. Let's be independent. Everybody wants to be independent. Look, Brexit, what was that about, right? And then all the nationalists, and I say nationalistic countries coming up in Eastern Europe, because instead of them being a part of the EU, they want to be more nationalistic. And in a sense, when they become more nationalistic, what is it really? They're becoming more right-wing, and that's not a good thing. And we must be very cognizant of this, and we must be very vigilant of this horrible uprising amongst the people. It's a bad tide. The rise of the right, not good, not good. We don't need it again. We had that already in 1944 and all that business. We don't need it again. We should have learned from then. But, some people even deny that it even happened. So, you have flat earthers, you got also conspiracy theory people, and I say, who needs it? Why give them a platform? So thank you for giving me a platform today, at Millennium TV. Thank you.
One thing, in last administration, Trump, that time also Russia put hundreds of soldiers Ukrainian border. But that time Russia have a good relations with our administration, Trump administration. They are not doing anything. But right now they thinking Biden administration is soft and he cannot do anything. That's why Russia try to attack, take over the Ukraine, or take over the all Eastern European countries day by day.
Right.
So
Right.
this is not a good idea for democracy and democratic way. What do you think, man? Do you have
I
any
agree.
idea?
It's not a good way. It's not a good way at all. And the fact that Putin is trying to play a little chess game over there, with the nice countries, Ukraine, and the European countries that are over there, they get the raw end of the deal because Ukraine is a great country. I don't know if you've been over there. They had a jazz festival a couple of years ago with Bobby McFerrin and Chick Corea. Anyway, what I'm saying is there's a great culture in Europe, Eastern Europe especially for music. Forget about it. It's tops. It's amazing. So top for that region as well. So you have these very raw areas where it's a beautiful place actually, and it's a shame that Mr. Putin is thinking he can push us around nowadays just because we have just Mr. Biden. Let's do a good job while we've got the power, while we're here, because Mr. Biden, thank you for being in office, because if you weren't in office, I might not feel so comfortable to come on this program today and say these things before you. So think about that too. Thank you.
Thank you. Viewers, we are going to short break. Please stay with us.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV. Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV. Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Welcome back again. Today's America, Millennium News 24/7. Viewers, we have a guest right now. She joined from Washington DC. She is Sealani Weiner. She is working mental health issue, also all social work for our American elderly and young generation. Sealani, welcome to Millennium News 24/7. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Sealani Weiner. I am in Berlin Heights, Maryland, about 8 minutes away from DC. And I've been working, I'm a clinical social worker, and I've been working online for about a year now with clients. And I've been a patient for many, many years.
Very good. And also we have a guest today, Todd Goldfinger. He is not a guest, he is our regular person co-host. Also he is working with mental health issue and social work, any helpline people need. Right now we're gonna go our guest Sealani Weiner. Sealani, tell us what you doing your area and all America or worldwide is good things or bad things for our society, and what we have to do.
So it's Weiner, just FYI. Anthony Weiner made it so everybody says it wrong.
Right.
But so Sealani Weiner. And would you repeat the question? I know you, is it good or bad? I heard that part. What aspect, the mental health system right now?
No, you are working with mental health issue
Yes.
in DC area, no, or all America. How you work and what is our job, what we have to do.
Okay. So I am knowledgeable mostly because of my own mental health journey, which I started, oh gosh, probably 40 years ago. I grew up in a crazy ass family and got a lot of distortions about how to live, like how we should be in the world. And I was always doing the wrong thing, so I grew up with a very poor sense of self. And I think there's a a generational legacy of that as well. And between that and between going to a therapist, a consistent therapist, even when I didn't want to, even when I was pissed off and convinced they were crazy, I kept going because to me, I didn't want to kill myself, but I felt like I ought to be dead. And so I also know that in my family, every generation, both sides, has had mental health issues. Clinical issues where there's not enough serotonin or dopamine in the brain, and so that we're very prone to depression, among other mental illnesses. And so, and mind you, my father was a psychologist, so the idea that I was crazy was reinforced by him, and he would inappropriately talk about patients, and so I just knew way too much, and no matter where I turned, I was going to be doing the wrong thing. So I very much inform my own practice by what I've experienced myself, which is a tremendous amount of recovery, so that today I can be in the present. Because I think the mental health journey for all of us is the ability to be able to be right here, right now, without being shaded by our past, without continuing the patterns of our past, so that somebody who grew up without a lot of boundaries or intermittent, so in my case, there was excessive attempts to control, and I have pretty bad attention deficit disorder mixed type, which means hyperactive and inattentive and all that, unrecognized. And I'm getting a lot of feedback. I don't know if this
You're doing great. You're doing great.
Okay, so but I'm getting feedback as I talk. Okay.
Different feedback. You're doing great.
No, I meant I can hear.
You need the earbuds. It's for the earbuds, but it's okay.
Okay, so all right, so I had that, and as my older sister said a while ago, I know this seems like a long whatever journey, but I responded. She said, you know, Mom and Dad tried to talk to you the same way as us, but you didn't get it. So they maybe said the same thing 10 times. If I didn't get it the first 2 times, I ain't gonna get it the next 8 times. What I needed was a different way of explaining it. And so I just always felt like that I was a scapegoat, just a lot of really
Emotional scapegoat.
Yes, like in the family, there
Black
was
sheep. Not black sheep, but
No,
they
no,
put
no.
they put everything on the person.
That's
And
it.
it's like then they make you want to die because really psychically that's what they're saying is we don't need her around. She's crazy. She wears red shoes.
The problem is that's what they know. People don't do it Nobody raises a kid to be nuts because they want the kid to be nuts.
They have to be nuts themselves in order to project it onto the person.
Because they don't know anything different. I actually have found there's a program called Adult Children of Alcoholics and Family Dysfunction. And a lot of folks go to it because of the family dysfunction part. No alcohol in the family. But that directly speaks to all this. And I can suggest that's a very strong support if you're already talking to a therapist. Going there and understanding that your folks did the best they could, or whoever raised you did the best they could, but they didn't know any different. And they were all about reacting. And so most of our lives are all about reacting. This is how you respond when somebody says this. So we get into idiotic fights, we get into power struggles. A lot of the crap that happens in the world today is because people are stuck in those power struggles as a kid. And when the way I thought about the insurrection that has allowed me to continue to be loving, mostly, has been that people get stuck in a parent telling them, and they get stuck in wherever they got stuck developmentally. So if somebody is rebellious, that's all about whatever age it is when you start saying no. Somebody who is convinced that the only way to feel safe is if you think what they think, that's probably a little bit younger than that. So coming from this kind of personal view, but having done a lot of work, a lot of writing about this has been really helpful. And I know a lot of folks go to 12-step programs. The thing about ACA is that is different, is it speaks to, it's not about what you did, because that's what you were trained by your parents. It's about forgiving yourself and learning to be present in today, which I don't think a lot of us do successfully. I mean, that's kind of a mindfulness thing.
Sealani, we're gonna coming another question to you.
Okay, sure.
Mr. Todd, floor is yours. Go ahead.
I'm so impressed with Sealani Weiner. I'm so impressed. I just want to say that I'm so proud of you for coming on the show and saying this. You know, it's not about naming names. It's about telling the story so it helps others. So if they're trapped in a family where there's so much dysfunction, that's going on there, and it's supposed to be, whatever, a very important family or whatever, who cares? But, anyway, if you have a great name, if the guy is not doing right, you want to change the name. I get that. Hitler's kids did the same thing. They didn't have kids. They didn't try to continue the what was going on there. So we get it too, because as Jewish people say, well, it can't happen within a Jewish family as well. But mind you, that might be the roughest course of all. There's a reason people don't go to Israel. Thank you.
One of the things that's particularly interesting to me is intergenerational trauma, and there's not a hell of a lot out there, because I've been looking for a conference to go to. I am convinced in my family that the abuse I experienced started way, way back. I know my grandfather was along with my great-grandmother for like 11 years after they came over from Poland, Russia, something like that. And she treated him, no doubt, like a husband. And so the long legacy of inappropriate relationships is my background. And the thing that, there's a gift in whatever we experience, and you can either just follow what you learn, or you can push out and explore and consider different ways of looking at something that you were so convinced was a particular way. But opening and allowing yourself So every day I aim to be informed by what I experience. And I gotta say, when I push on anything I push on, I need to have the answer to this. I need to have the answer. When I keep probing for answers and get more and more tense so that my anxiety is at a height where I can't think straight. Because when my anxiety gets bad enough, it's like I'm vibrating. When I
Listen,
get high enough, I just
Todd,
stop.
Todd,
And
Yeah, sure.
we
Yeah.
have to ask the question. We have to.
Yes.
So I want to
Go
know
ahead.
something.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
And this isn't particular to any kind of family, but what happens when there's I just going to throw it out there, just a concept.
Sure.
Sexual incest, stuff like that, and just weird relationships that you don't understand, and there's no way to have a frame of reference because you're just a kid, and there's no other. This is the golden cage, being trapped in, and so with that, how do you get out of that? How do you breathe, be present, drink clean water, be in a safe place? How do you find your safe place when everything seems so hostile? Sorry to be yelling.
it's a lot of freaking work. But
Where does it begin? When do you begin? When is the turnaround?
so you can start by accepting what is. So if you are compulsive about anything, compulsion can take many forms. It can be hosting all the time. It can be anything that is not involving all of who you are in the moment could be a compulsive behavior. And then there's some that's more clear, when you want to stop drinking, yet you didn't drink a couple, and then it just feels like I have to do this. A lot of times the different sorts of addictions that we have, and a lot of folks are addicted to food, and it's not like you can go without. But when we can accept, oh, I have a mental illness. So in my case, I take a number of psych meds, and my understanding is that my brain lacks some chemicals. And so I've been on the particular meds I'm on for PD, for depression, for PTSD, for a very long time. So there's accepting that piece of it, that there medically is some aspects that can make my life a hell of a lot easier in order to work on this stuff. Because when I started on meds and that, profound PTSD, anxiety, whoa. When I started on them, it allowed me to calm down enough to start talking about what was in me. And so, of course, when you asked about abuse, so sexual abuse has a whole other category, but most abuse is about power. It's about somebody feeling out of control, so they are telling somebody else how to live. They often don't know any other way. The moment that you can just be with that fact, and of course, it may be resentful, but you're going to go through all the stages of grief, right?
But then there's also not wanting to deal with these people at all and say, hey, I'm better than them.
And sometimes, what's been very important in my own life is to not compare. Because I have this phrase, and God forbid my mother watches this, but if she does, she'll actually have to hear me.
She's still alive?
Oh gosh, she's going to be 93 in April.
Well,
So, yeah, I like to say, I have 3 siblings, and my mom's still alive. And I like to say, I grew up with my parents taking up 97% of the air in the room, which meant somebody was always not breathing. And of
So
course,
it was like yap, 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 yap,
Slow.
yap, 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 yap.
yeah, and a lot of somatizing, what that ends up doing is if you cannot speak your truth, a lot of us end up putting it into our body. And then, so I am working on some major stuff now, and if you saw me walk, I'm like Oh my God. And, anyway, but
It's dehumanizing, and when they find a target to dehumanize, God help you.
Todd and Selena, we are going to short break. Please stay with us.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Viewers, we are back again. Today's America and Millennium News 24/7. We have a guest from Maryland, Sealani, and our upstate New York, upper Westchester, we have Todd Goldfinger. We are talking about today mental health issue. All human beings, we have a anger and mental health issue. How we can solve this problem? Who gonna help us? Where is the doctor? And what kind of medication we can use? We are talking subject of this. So we're gonna ask our Todd and Sealani how we can solve our anger and mental health. All, not American, whole planet, we have a mental health issue. How we can solve it?
yes, I see people from all over the world online, and well, the first thing we could do is actually accept that anger is a natural thing. And so many people are afraid of being angry and don't know how to be angry appropriately and convey what it is that's said. I can give you a simple phrase that helps. This is unreal. I mean, when I learned this, it was like, ooh, it's a different way to have an argument. When you do this, I feel this. Because most of us, when we have a feeling, we go right to the brain, and what comes out of our mouths is, I think you da 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 da. You're trying to hurt me. We don't have a freaking clue. All we know is how somebody, what they said, how it hit us. So if people could, if there's so many things I think we ought to be talking about in schools that we don't like. Like if kids understood that death is the end of life, instead of avoiding talking about it, it would change the way we live. If we could talk about mental health, before a kid goes to school, they do this, and this. Do we do mental health screenings? Some districts do, but mostly. And wouldn't it be great to be able to normalize mental health concerns, which part of what's happening right now online with so many apps of people going online for therapy, it's beginning to be more normal. And it's estimated that it's like 8% of the US population at least struggles with mental health issues. And I think what we're finding out is way bigger than that. A lot of folks have had their religion as a parent, and the religion tells them what to do. It takes them away from who they are in essence because it prescribes, just like their parent prescribes. So they move from one
Well, the parent is not supposed to prescribe. That would be medical abuse.
Well, but what I'm saying is
Family members are not supposed to prescribe. That would be medical abuse. Let's just make that clear.
so I'm using a word metaphorically. Thank you.
Okay, sure.
So sometimes religions can tell us how we're supposed to be versus just allowing ourselves to be and understanding who we are. I think self-exploration is really important. I would love to see, I'll tell you, I fantasized about this in the past 2 years. I would love to see this idea that people who are stuck in a particular viewpoint are there because of developmental issues when they were growing up and have not resolved a lot of that stuff that came up, whether it's hurt or anger or acceptance that would,
Or sudden death of a parent at a young age.
Yeah, exactly. Or they had an illness when they were a little kid. You're talking about trauma. Trauma, so many people experience trauma. There are so many people who don't know boundaries
Right.
and don't even think about it. Wouldn't that be great if from the time you were little, you got screened for mental health? When you went to school, they started talking about boundaries when you were in the 5th grade.
Yeah. And then I just want to add to this if I could. You mentioned boundaries. Boundaries is a great subject, but what if there's even too many boundaries to the point where they're emotionally withholding, not calling after the parent dies, leaves you for dead, and if this is a family of doctors, they really don't know how to treat trauma, do they?
Well, think about medical school and what people go through and why.
Medical school is BS, it sounds like. It sounds like medical school is BS. That's what it sounds like to me.
So you will never find me saying anything like that. But you're taking each person who they are before they go.
Right,
So
but it's more than one person that acts this way, is what I'm saying. It's like all across the board, these kinds of doctors are just pushing pills, but that's a different story. Anyway.
So you and I have had this discussion before. I think that it's really important, especially when you're pissed off about something, that whatever person generated the pissed offness to be able to communicate.
It's good to be pissed off. You have to be. You have to be. That's where it starts. Start with that. Begin with that. Healthy anger is also a good thing. Say anger, Metallica.
Okay, so I don't really know what that means.
They filmed themselves making an album for over a year. They had to go into therapy. They went into rehab. They slammed doors. They yelled at each other. They got in each other's faces. It was a lot of drama. And the album was not good at all. It was a terrible album. Saint Anger is terrible. It sucks. But the way they made it was therapeutic. And they're telling people there is a therapeutic way of being angry. It's good to be angry. You're supposed to be angry. That means you're alive. You have a pulse.
Human, yes.
You're human. You have a pulse.
Yep.
You have a pulse.
So in my family,
It means it's real too. You're also validating yourself and your pain and your struggle and your journey because they wouldn't, because they're the bad guys. They're the wrongdoers in that case. There have to be good guys and bad guys, and when they're bad guys do bad guys. That's all I'm saying, right? That's all I'm saying. You got to think like a bad guy in order to
I'm not going to say
take down the
right.
bad guy. Thank you.
I'm not going to say right and agree with you because I don't believe that. What I do believe, though, is people have ways of doing things. That is the only thing they know. And think about this, if somebody has had a traumatic upbringing, then they have a kid. Okay, so then you have a kid.
Then they should have a kid. They should have a license to have that kid.
Well, that's a whole
mental and physical. Do they have the goods to have a baby? Do they have the goods? Can they make a baby? Do they have the mental, stability to have a baby? Do they have the financial stability to have a baby? All of these things need to be checked out before having babies. Thank you.
Yeah, and of course that would be totally government overreach if we did that.
Because babies aren't ornaments. Thank you.
So
Todd, can I ask you? Yeah, can I ask you one question, both of you? Like,
Yeah.
we have so many people, they are unemployment or they don't work. They have a mental health issue.
Yeah.
Our government, if they are dying or anything happen, these days is medical marijuana everywhere. You know, less doctor, but they have overall all state. But our government, one thing they do not do it, use the Medicaid or health insurance. If they use the medical health insurance, probably they are alive. They can buy the medicine. They can see the doctor. So why our government not authorize the insurance company or Medicaid to do it, what is the called, taking care of the mental health issue?
Here's why. Especially this, I could get up on my high horse because I use medical marijuana for anxiety, but I'm not very anxious these days, but I have a lot of pain as I work through the somatic stuff. And 100% it needs to happen. And thank God the states are doing it individually. But look what happens when the feds try to have some kind of mandate. We're trying to pass this bill that will help people. And people are not voting for it, not because it's not good for people, but because they think the quote opposite side did it. I think that when enough states have voted that medical marijuana is okay, or recreational, to some states, recreational is okay, that we'll be able to use that. And I think we are going to see a precipitous drop in suicides, in mental health issues, in mental emergencies, because it is such an amazing drug, and it's
Cannabis we're talking about, right?
cannabis. It's non-addictive, and of course the people who are
Old fogies, these
you know,
old farts, the boomers.
actually, it's not even those. It's
I gonna share with you guys something. Is things
Yeah.
why they do not give the permission? Only big pharmaceutical industry. They're gonna lose their
Right.
they're gonna lose their job. They're gonna lose
Right.
their fund. You know,
They're so scared. They're sweating.
exactly.
They're
If-
sweating. They're
if-
sweating.
don't come in there, because let me tell you, I'm with the same freaking Medicare company for years now. Every year, there's 3 or 4 meds that are really expensive, like $500 the first time I get them during the year. So I either have to do a tier something, or I have to get I have to get approval. I started on one of them like 3 weeks ago. It's a maintenance med, and it still isn't here. And because, I don't want to be political, but Hillary Clinton said single payer, and that would have been great, whether it was government or us as individuals. But once you got insurance companies involved, once you got pharmaceutical companies that now can, I'm a type 1 diabetic. Bottle of insulin 10 years ago, $30. Now, $200-$300? Bullshit.
Oh, we can't say that. We can't say that.
Okay,
But
sorry.
these people are thumbs down. We know that.
So you've got the lobbying. You have, like, if you look at the NPIRG, National Something and the Public Interest, a website that doesn't have an axe to grind that says this is a percentage of political contributions.
Right. Shows you where the money's going.
Yes.
Is never ever.
The money trail. The money trail.
Exactly.
Yeah. Who is donating to particular centers on particular sites?
Mm-hmm.
And you get your answer. And I don't understand, like, once you've made $1 million, maybe $3 million, why do you need more money? Maybe I'm not being realistic.
Right. Because it's a sickness. These people are sick themselves. They actually have mental sickness, and they have greed.
Todd, We don't
I
have a
mean,
time.
sorry,
We have
sorry.
2 minutes.
Yeah. So psychedelic medicine is going to be the way to go. It's coming down the pike. Stay tuned, and we're all going to be healed. Okay, the modalities of therapy treatment in a safe setting with psychedelics are going to be the way to go, and we're going to see it coming in the next 2-3 years. Stay tuned. Keep your fingers crossed.
So I don't know that it's psychedelics, but I certainly know they are doing experiments with LSD for people with trauma, controlled experiments.
MDMA for PTSD because there's no real treatment on the market right now for PTSD. And even if they're giving you pills, you know what? They don't know what they're doing. Because you know what?
Slow.
It's haven't been tested.
Slow. Don't be rushed.
So
It's haven't been tested.
there is some research indicating people are getting relief, and for sure, I know cannabis is such an amazing drug, and the fact that it's not addictive means, you
It's
use
a plant
it.
medicine.
You
It's a
use-
sacred, ancient plant
Right.
medicine.
Right. So you use it when you need it, help, and then when you don't need it anymore, you surrender and you live your life in a different place.
It's much better than alcohol. Alcohol is a poison. It will ruin your life and your body. Okay? It's a depressant.
Guys,
Marijuana is much better.
very good. Viewers, today our time is end. Our guest, Miss Sealani and Todd Finger. We are
Thank you.
welcome them our network frequently, and they have a voice for all our viewers around the world. Viewers, please watch Millennium TV and Millennium News 24. Also, Today's America. We are in all iOS and Android device. Also, all smart TVs like Sony, Samsung, and LG. Also, Roku TV, Apple TV, also Amazon TV. Viewers, also we are on Amazon Stick and Roku Stick. Our all social network address Millennium News 24/7 like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Our YouTube channel address is News Channel M24. Our website millenniumnews24.com, also millenniumtv24.com. Viewers, our colleague, friends, and journalist worker working round the clock for our viewers from around the world. Please watch Millennium News 24/7. And last of all, whatever you are, stay peace, love, and happiness. Goodbye and take care for today.
Thank you.